Hi, welcome back to Common Sense Creation. This is a new channel, a channel where I present all of the evidence that I've weighed over time and that has caused me to actually believe in God. Many people say there's no evidence for God, for instance. So, am I going to give you a number that you can talk to God and prove beyond doubt that God's there? No, no. But I am going to give you evidence that I think is significant, evidence that I've weighed out and decided whether it made sense to believe in God, whether it doesn't make sense to believe in God. And I believe in God. So today I just wanted to talk about a couple of medical practices that they did in the ancient time. The first one is circumcision. Now, I'm sure everybody knows what circumcision is. And in the Bible, God commanded Moses to do circumcisions on the eighth day. So, what happens on the eighth day? Well, now they know that vitamin K, which is an agent in clotting, and also works with the liver for making prothrombin, a clotting agent, is at its peak on the eighth day. It's actually at 110% on the eighth day. So you could see, how would they know that? How would they know the eighth day unless somebody told them the eighth day and somebody that knows about the eighth day? So to me, that makes a lot of sense. That Moses got it from somebody. Okay, he got it from Almighty God. Now, I've had discussions with some friends where they said, well, they probably arrived at the eighth day because they just kept trying it, kept trying it, kept trying it, kept trying it, and they were just tired of kids bleeding out, and they finally come up on the eighth day. Well, to me, that doesn't make sense, because if I was an ancient doctor and I tried circumcision, a kid bled out, maybe I'd try another one or three at the most, and I'd say, hey, this is lethal, it doesn't work, and I'm not doing it. And as far as doing it daily until you reach the best day, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense either, because if you think about it, on the seventh day, that ends the week, you begin a new week. So thinking about that, after 7 days, I wouldn't do it. But on the eighth day, we can see that it was successfully done in a very primitive time because of the clotting factors being 110% on the eighth day. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about the water of purification. And the water of purification could be found in the 19th chapter of the book of Leviticus. And this water contained the ashes of a red heifer, hyssop, cedar, and scarlet wool. Now, the hyssop and hyssop oil is an antifungal. I believe it's an antibacterial as well. And we see that cedar is pretty much loaded with vitamin C, actually. But what cedar does is it's a very mild skin irritant. And what the purpose of that was to encourage people to scrub themselves. And also, excuse me, and also the scarlet wool was, and again, that was an abrasive agent that was to scrub yourself clean. And some scientists have commented that what this is, it's kind of like an ancient lava soap. And for any of you that doesn't know about lava soap, it's a very coarse soap. It's used for scrubbing off grease and other things that you can't get off with regular soap. Um, then we have quarantine. Well, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, it was said that people that touched a dead body, for instance, they had to wash in this water of purification, but they had to be outside of camp, and they were not to come back in camp till the end of the day. They would be considered clean. Lepers, for instance, outside of camp. And this is actually very sound. Today we call it quarantine or isolation. This was actually very sound, and this prevented a lot of diseases, because if you're not around it, you're probably not going to catch it. I know there's circumstances where you touch a surface where somebody is touching. Yeah, I understand that. But to quarantine somebody, get them out of camp until they are clean before you bring them back into camp, that's a wonderful way of preventing diseases and the spread of these diseases. Another thing that I'd like to talk about is the blood. Now, excuse me, now today, we know, and I'm a retired paramedic, and I worked for the hospital. I worked in the hospitals, and I know now what the value of blood is. But back in ancient times, they didn't know what blood really was and what role it truly played. The ancients believed a lot of things like emotion, for instance. Emotion come from the heart, that they said. Well, today we know that that's not true. It comes from up here. So they really didn't understand totally what the blood does. It carries nutrients, it carries oxygen to all the tissues. And Moses has said, I'm going to paraphrase him because I can't remember everything that I've read, but he had said that the life of the flesh can be found in the blood, which is remarkable. How would he know that? I mean, really, how would he know that? Now, I say, how would he know that? Because, George Washington, our first president, he died, they said, from pneumonia, but I don't think he really died from pneumonia. I think he died from hypovolemia because one of the practices was that they would open up a vein, usually above the elbow. They would open up the vein and bleed out some blood. The purpose of that was, well, there's contaminants that got into the blood, so if we bleed it out, we're removing the blood. And unfortunately, they took out a little bit too much blood, and he became very ill, and he passed away. So they know now today, but back then, Moses making a statement like that, I think that's a very, very remarkable statement to be making in ancient times. Um, so that's it for today. Again, I just wanted to give a couple at a time. I don't want to make a long video because, boy, I could be a boring guy. And, I don't want to overwhelm anybody. But like I said, the evidence is for Almighty God. There's so much of it. You have to take it all into consideration. And just like a jury trial, you have to weigh it out. You have to say, does the existence of God make more sense or no God makes sense? And after viewing all the evidence that I know so far, and I'm still learning it, it's amazing how much is out there. Um, I found very sound that there is a God. So I want you to have a good week. Enjoy your week. Work hard. If you're a student, study hard and search for the Lord. You'll find him if you search diligently. Like I said in the past couple of videos, if you knew on your property there was a bucket of gold coins somewhere on your property, you would dig up every blade of grass to find it. I would dig up every blade of grass to find it. But that's how diligent you have to search for the Lord. And if you do, I'm convinced you're going to find him. So have a good week. Have a great new year because this is still the new year. Take care of yourself. I love you, and I will see you again.